Welcome back to Living Creative with Pixie Princess. Today I'm going to show you how to make fingerless mittens. These are amazing if you work in a cold office and you need to keep your hands warm, but your fingers need to be free so that you can type on your computer keyboard. They're also great at home if you're lounging around reading a book or scrolling on your phone or just whatever. They're wonderful and they're super easy to make. The supplies you're going to need is a bulky weight, and this is a number 5 by Loops and Threads. I got this at Michael's, and this is the color mustard. I've already made one glove, so you're going to watch me make the second one. You're going to need a Loom pick tool, and you're going to need 9 Flexie Loom links. This is the size bulky, so you need 9 of these, a total of 18 pegs. You always need scissors and a darning needle, and I also recommend a stitch counter, or if you can use tally marks if you want to. So grab your supplies and meet me back, and we will make the other mustard color fingerless mitt. Okay, so I've already made one in the mustard color, so I'm going to show you how to make it when I make the other one. We're going to start with the cuff, which is just a garter stitch. Then we have the bottom of the below our hand, and then we got to make a thumb hole, and then we got to finish it off. I like to do mine like right above my knuckles here. It still gives me freedom with my fingers, but it's enough to keep my hands warm. So let's get started. I'm going to take this off while we're knitting. Like I said, you're going to need 9 links. Each link has 2 pegs, so you need a total of 18 pegs. If you have a small loom that has 18 pegs in a circular manner, you can use that as well. I've already got some of it put together. You'll notice that some of them are rounded, and it kind of helps you turn it to where you need it. So if you're not just knitting in a straight line. I had a smaller piece of yarn that I put at the end right here. Since these don't have an anchor peg, and the anchor peg usually shows you how to mark where you start your starting point. So I put a piece of thread there. You can still hook it together. So I've got a few put together, so I'm just going to finish showing you how easy these are to put together. You can use as many or as little as you need, and you buy different boxes to get more. I forget how many comes in a box. Okay, so we are working in a circular manner, so I'm going to hook it together. You'll notice this is not a perfect circle, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect your project. So, I mean, if you're going to obsess about it, you can figure out how to make it, but that's fine. So I put this here so that I can mark my first peg, okay? So let's get started. You can use one skein of yarn usually to make a pair, and you'll have a little left over. So I'm going to use the ball that I started with to make my first one. So let's get that out of the way. Okay, now, let me just make sure to point out when you link them together, make sure your grooves are on the outside, because that's how you slide your hook easily. So we're going to start with a slip knot. We're casting on, and this first stitch is the most difficult. So I work left to right. You can work right to left. It doesn't matter on this pattern. But I'm doing to the left of where I tied my string. You put your loop from your slip knot right here on that first peg that you're going to start with. Now I just kind of take my tail from my slip knot and tighten it up right here. I'm not going to keep it like that, but I just need that tight for this first stitch. So I've got that loop on. I'm doing a U-wrap, and then I'm taking that bottom stitch over the top. That's my first cast on loop. So from here on, I'm going to E-wrap around, and then U-wrap the top and knit. Okay, and just continue all the way around. Again, this makes a smoother edge. If you want to wrap all the way around and knit again, you can, but I think this is a smoother edge. So you're wrapping all the way around in an E-wrap, and then you're just doing a U-wrap and knitting over. Okay? Just continue in this manner until you've gone all the way around. Okay, get that off. Make sure you tighten up your stitches as you go, because you want your cast on to be somewhat tight, but not too tight. If it's too tight, you can't work it. Almost there. Okay, last one. Okay, we have now cast on our yarn and we're ready to begin making the cuff. To make the cuff, get your stitch counter ready, or however you're going to count your stitches. Okay, so now we're going to E-wrap all the way around. So an E-wrap is, it's called that because it looks like a little cursive E, like that. But do that all the way around your loom. Make sure you have enough yarn available. Just wrap, wrap, wrap until you get to the last peg. Now this is a garter stitch, and I'm going to show you how I do it very quickly. If you choose to knit and then go back and purl, that's up to you, but I think this is much faster and you can count the rows better. So we wrapped all of our stitches. We have 2 loops on all of our pegs. So that first peg we're going to knit, and knitting is pulling the bottom the bottom loop over the top. Now we're going to put our working yarn below that loop right there. You're going to take your hook and go in the top. You're going to pull up some yarn to create a new loop, like so. Now you're going to take it carefully, take it off, and put that new loop back on there. So you've just done 1 knit and 1 purl. And you're going to continue working in this manner all the way around. Okay, so you're going to knit, and then immediately you're going to purl. So, one more time, take the bottom loop over the top, and then go in that loop from the top, scoop up the yarn to make a new loop, take it off carefully, and then put that new loop back on. So let's do that all the way around. Okay, almost there. I got 2 more to go. I'm going to knit it, then purl it. 1 more. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 to my stitch counter because I'm counting it as the knit purl is 1 row, but if you want to knit then purl, count it as 2. But for this tutorial, I'm going to count them as 1, so that's 1. So we got to do it 4 more times for a total of 5 knit purl rows. So finish your cuff, and I'll join you back when we get to the end of the 5th knit purl row. So enjoy your knitting. Okay, I am about to finish my 5th round here. Got a few more pegs to go. When you're using few pegs like this, it goes by very quickly actually. Okay. My last knit and purl. And purl. And that's 5. All right, so you just made the cuff, which is this. Now we got to make the bottom of your hand. And all of this is a knit stitch. So we need 4 rows of knit. I'm going to clear my counter. Start back at 0 so we can do 4 rows of knit. Now you have options. You can wrap all the way around and then knit. I like to just wrap a few and knit and go around. But however you're most comfortable. I just wrap a few and knit. Notice I'm not purling. I'm only knitting. You can U-wrap if you want to. It'll make it a little tighter stitch. I like it a little tight but somewhat stretchy too. You don't want to constrict the use of your hands. That defeats the purpose here. So I'm going to go all the way around. So this goes a lot faster when you're not doing the purl part. Okay, and I'm getting down to the last one here. Okay, so I just knit my first row. I don't know if you can see my counter or not. I got to do it 3 more times. So I want you to knit a total of 4 rows like I showed you, and then meet me back, and then we'll work on the thumb hole. All right, I am almost done with my 4th row here. Hope you've enjoyed your knitting so far. All right, so that is 4. All right, so now you've made your cuff, you've made the bottom of your hand. Now we got to make your thumb hole. All right, and we're going back to the garter stitch to do that. But there's a little trick to this. I am going to reset my counter. All right, so this is, if you're working left to right, you're going to take your first peg, and if you're working right to left, do the opposite. You're going to take it off very carefully of the loom, off the peg, and you're going to put it on, I don't know if you can see that well, that last peg. So you're leaving your first peg empty, and you put it over here, and just to start, you're going to knit that bottom over the top, okay? That's probably the most difficult part of this whole project. So now, what we're going to do, and it's just a little bit different than the cuff because we're going to be knitting the garter stitch in a flat manner rather than circular. All right, so we're going to leave this one plain, and then this peg and this peg are always going to be knit. We are not going to purl those pegs because we want to get that nice clean edge around our thumb, okay? So this is what we got to do. You're going to go around that peg there and kind of in a figure 8 here and wrap that first one. Now you're going to go back and wrap all your pegs all the way back like so. Okay, and the last one that has a loop is the last one you're going to wrap because we're going to leave this one alone for now. So right now you're just going to knit off of that last one you just wrapped. Sometimes it's harder. Easier said than done. Okay, now we've done that. So now, the way we were working the cuff before, we're going to do this for the thumb hole. You're going to knit and purl. Okay, you're going to knit, bottom loop over the top, the purl, top of the loop, scoop up, make a new loop, take it off, and put it on. Okay, so you're going to do that until we get back to where we started. Okay. I love these little small projects with the very few pegs because they work up so quickly. You can probably finish one mitt in about an hour or so. But just have fun with it, you know, watch a movie or something, or your favorite television show. Because once you get to certain portions of this mitt, there's not a whole lot of thinking involved. As long as you're keeping track with a counter or tally marks or something. I used tally marks for a long time until I got a stitch counter. Okay, just keep going in this manner. Okay. The portions that have the purl stitches, they take the longest because those 4 rows of knit went by really fast. They did for me. Okay, we're going to work in this manner a total of 3 times. I'm going to get through this first one. I'll let you do the next 2 on your own, and then we'll meet back. But let's finish this one right here. Almost there. Hope I'm staying where you can see everything. Okay, this is the last one we're going to knit and purl because this last one we're just going to knit. Sometimes the fibers in your yarn kind of split, so you have to watch that. Okay, so this last one we're just going to knit it so we can get that nice clean edge. So that was 1 row of knit and purls. You got to do it a total of 3 times. So I'm going to let you do your next 2 on your own and come back and meet me. If you need to rewind and review what I just did, you're going to do that 2 more times for a total of three times, okay? So do your next 2 and meet me back, and then we'll move on to the rest of your mitten. Okay, now we're getting toward the end of my 4th row here. So I just wanted to show you how I finish off. Okay, that's the last purl, and this is the last purl in the whole project. This This yarn is kind of splitting a little bit here. There we go. Okay, no more purls. Okay, because this last one we're just going to knit, because remember we were making that nice clean edge. Okay, that's 3. All right, I'm going to clear my counter again. So the rest of the glove, we've made our cuff, we made the bottom of the hand, and we've made the thumb hole. So we got to make the top of our glove, and I like to make mine up to my knuckles. So for me, that is 10 rows. Now you can always slide your hand through here to see where it is. But we've only gotten through the thumb hole, so let's join this back together. All right. So we're going to wrap that one. The last one is going to get another knit because we got to get the yarn over. And then this one that's empty, you remember how we cast on? We're going to do the same method. Wrap it. And then wrap again. Now, we are ready to finish. So, we're just going to wrap. You can wrap all the way around if you want to, or you can do like I'm doing and knit a few at a time. Whatever is easiest for you. I do it this way because I don't have to make sure I'm holding on to my yarn. And I don't like knitting the last one that I wrap because it causes a little gap in there. So this is just how I do it. But if you want to wrap them all, I'm not purling. Sorry about that. This is your project. You do what is comfortable for you. Another thing you can do if you don't want the garter stitch thumb section, you can do 6 rows of just knitting, but you've got to knit back and forth. So just remember that. You can do that. That's totally up to you, and that's how I did it. My first pattern I made, it was a knit. But I kind of like the contrast with the purl stitches. So that's why I changed the pattern. But you can do that. Instead of just 3 passes of knit purl, do 6 knits. Okay? And I am knitting my last 2. So that is 1. I've got to do that 9 more times to make a total of 10 rows. So just relax, sit back, knit your 10 rows, and then I'll meet you back and show you how we're going to close this up. All right, just a few more for me, and I will have completed my 10 rows of knit. So let's knit these 3 off. And that makes 10 rows. Now this is where you can kind of see if it's where you want it to be. You're not going to tell exactly, but yeah, that looks like it's going to be about right. So we got to get it off of this loom. Okay, so you're going to take your yarn and you need to wrap it around the loom at least 2 times, if not 2.5 or 3. But I'm just going to go a little over 2 times. Take my scissors and cut it off. We are through with the ball of yarn, and we still have plenty left. So I'm just going to get that out of the way. So, and I don't need my counter anymore. So unwrap the yarn, and this is, I'm going to stay with you because this is kind of a tricky process. This is the super stretchy bind off, and I learned this from Loom. She has some wonderful tutorials on her channel, so I recommend you check her out. All right, so you've got your yarn here. This is our first peg right here. So you're not going to do anything just yet. You're going to just place the yarn over it. The second peg right here, you're going to take your tool, you're going to go in the top like you were going to purl. You pull that up, but instead of purling, you're going to pull the yarn all the way out, okay? So now you're going to go back to this one. You're going to put the yarn below, okay? So you've kind of got two strands here, so you're going to go through both of those from the top. Actually, yeah, that's right. You're going to go from the top and you're going to pull it all the way up. It can get tricky. I usually hold this closer to me and it's easier, not on camera. Okay. So now this one that you did first, you're going to lay your yarn over it. You're going to go over here, pull up the yarn and pull it all the way out. Okay, I think I did that one wrong. You got to go over here. See, yeah, that's right. Go from the bottom. I did that first one wrong, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. You're going to pull it through the bottom and pull it all the way out. Okay. So this first one that you worked, you need to take it off of the peg. Okay? So now we're going to do the same process. Just lay the yarn over this next one here. You're going to go from the top, pull up the yarn all the way out. Then go over here, go from the bottom, I hope you can see that. That's why I wanted to stay with you, it's very tricky. Okay, put the yarn there, go from the bottom, pull it through all the way. Now take the loops off of that one. Okay? Do the same process all the way around. Okay, pull it all the way through. And then place it over here, go from the bottom. And pull it through the bottom all the way out. Take this one off. Okay, and just keep doing this. Up and out. And then, you know, I said that when we started the thumb hole, that was the trickiest part. I stand corrected. This is the most tricky part. Okay. You've got so much yarn you're working with here. And then down and out. And remove that one. Okay. Let's keep going here. Go back. Up. Down and all the way out. Okay, remove that one. Skip over here, down, up and out, back over here, go up, down and out, remove, we're almost there. The yarn is splitting a little bit. And then go So over on the top, from the bottom, scoop down, pull all the way out, remove this one, okay. Let me speed this up, but if you need to, keep watching. There we go. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, go back here. Take that off. Now you only got 2 left. So pull that through, and then I'm taking them both off. And then tighten that up, okay? It's free from the loom. You've got your mitt, but we've got to close it up here. All right. So I don't know why I always get that little gap up here. So I'm going to close that up. I'm going to thread this through my darning needle here. Some people like to use a crochet hook. I like the needle. All right, I just kind of close that up together right here. Pull that all the way through here. Okay, so now I'm ready to weave in. And all I do here is I just kind of go through some of these stitches here. Just about 3 or 4. Like so, and then I want to go back up some different stitches. like so. And then I like to go back again because I think this makes it really secure. Okay. And now it's nice and secure. Take it off your needle. And you're going to trim your yarn like so. Okay. And we got this little guy down here we got to do. Same thing. Going to thread that tail through our darning needle. Okay. And then we're just going to go up through a few stitches. Okay, and then we're going to go back down a few stitches. And then I'm going to go back up one more time. Because I've always heard, weaves of 3, we'll leave them be. Okay. Take it off the needle. And snip. Okay, we now have 2 mitts, one for each hand. And your fingers are free, you can type, you can scroll on your phone or whatever. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot and that you will make these for yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And if you have any ideas for any new tutorials, let me know. And I will be happy to do that for you. So until next time, may God keep you and bless you, and have a good week.